Hello, everyone, and good morning. Today, we're going to do things a little bit differently, so bear with me, and I hope this works. One of the things in Unit 6 that we as H9 teachers are supposed to go over with you is how to write a DBQ. Now, before you panic and go, oh no, please don't make me do this, just know that this is a modified short version, and really my goal for you is to understand the process of a DBQ. If you are someone who is planning on taking AP US History, AP World, or AP Gov, then this is going to be something you're going to have to be extremely familiar with as you go into those classes. But even more immediately, next year in H10, you will absolutely have to write some DBQs as well. So DBQ stands for Document-Based Question. And what happens during a DBQ is you get some short snippets of primary sources usually, and then there is a question, and you have to take this primary source or multiple primary sources and answer that question. A real DBQ is typically timed, and it's usually sources that you have never seen. However, but because we're kind of doing this together and I want to introduce this to you, I figured we should kind of break this down and if not do all of it together, at least do some of it together. Again, this is a skill that we typically spend all of Unit 6 going over and doing multiple times. So I do really think that it's valuable, and I hope you take it seriously because this will be something that you will be expected to understand and know. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or come to my office hours. Hopefully you have this printed. If not printed, then on your screen so that you can follow along. Now, a stretch goal is to do the annotations, and I'm going to actually do the annotations for some of these myself, starting with document 1. So let's go ahead and follow along. I'm not going to be doing all of them, so just to kind of model what my expectations are. So let us get started. The italicized is obviously context. Stalin launched his first 5-year plan in 1928. So there's my occasion. By setting up a planned or command economy. In this speech, Stalin, so here's my speaker, aroused Russian pride and motivated the people. So here's also the audience. Let's see, can you see that? Yeah. To slow down would mean falling behind, and those who fall behind are beaten. I'm going to circle this, and I'm going to ask the question, by who? Who's beaten you? But we do not want to be beaten. One feature of the old Russia was the continual beatings she suffered for falling behind, for her backwardness. So some of these beatings that he's referring to, of course, are World War I, or one of the instances we didn't go over, but you can still figure out, is the Russo-Japanese War, which Russia did lose against Japan. So you want our socialist fatherland to be beaten? If you don't want this, you must end our backwardness. You must develop a real Bolshevik tempo or speed in building our socialist economy. There is no other road. So he mentions you and our, kind of puts the control to them, the people. We lag behind the advanced countries by 50 to 100 years. We must make good the distance in 10 years. Either we do it or we shall be crushed. So other nations like the USA / the UK and Germany are all more industrial than the USSR. So the first question for document 1 was, what was Stalin's goal with his 5-year plan? Right, Stalin wants his people to advance their economy / industry in 5 to 10 years so that Russia is caught up with the rest of Western Europe. Okay, so you can pause if you want to write down everything I wrote, or of course write it in your own words is what I'd really prefer. But this is kind of an example or model, so it's okay if you're writing what I'm writing. Again, I'm not going to go over all of them, but there are 2 more that I would like to go over with you because I do want to give you a little bit more context. The next one, I hope this doesn't mess things up, is document 3. Let me figure this out. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay. So this excerpt from Forced Famine in the Ukraine, a Holocaust the West Forgot by Adrian, this guy right here is the speaker, was printed in the Wall Street Journal on July 7th, 1983. So there's my occasion. Today, reliable academic estimates place the number of Ukraine's victims of starvation at 4.5 million to 7 million. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to underline that and I'm going to put an exclamation mark because, wow, that's a huge amount of people dying. The famine was in part the byproduct of Stalin's relentless drive to collectivize Soviet agriculture. The famine was a clear result of the fact that between 1931 and 1933, while harvests were precociously declining, Stalin's commissars continued to confiscate grain. So let's keep reading. Peasants were shot and deported as rich land-owning kulaks, while the drive to collectivize agriculture was a wide-ranging phenomenon common to the entire USSR. Only in the Ukraine did it assume a genocidal character. Indeed, there can be no question that Stalin used the forced famine as a part of a political strategy whose aim was to crush all vestiges of Ukraine's national sentiment. So a couple of things that I want to clarify here that I'm not sure if the textbook did a good enough job describing is a part of his plan with the 5-year plan was, of course, to collectivize farms. However, some people like the kulaks did not support collectivization. So I'm going to circle kulaks and go right here. Did not support collectivization, and therefore they are seen as threats to Stalin's power. And many of these people, the kulaks, were a part of the Ukraine. Many lived in the Ukraine. And as you can see, this last sentence, blah, 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 it highlights the fact that they wanted independence, which of course Stalin could not have, right? Stalin could not have a country that wanted independence if he was going to be able to be successful with his 5-year plan and with communism. And so according to this author, What are the two explanations for the elimination of about 4.5 to 7 million Ukrainians between 1932 and 1933? And so I'm going to go ahead and write it down. Ukraine was successful agriculturally before collective farms, and therefore there was a lot of pushback against the 5-year plan, right? Because collectivizing the farms is a part of the 5-year plan. Stalin wanted to end this resistance, so created a famine to purge the Ukrainian people. He could not have them wanting, oops, let me click this, sorry people, independence. So one more time, just to go over it, a part of Stalin's 5-year plan was to collectivize farms. But kulaks, people who are rich, wealthy, already successful land-owning farmers, did not want to collectivize their farm. And many of these people lived in the Ukraine. And so as a part to punish the Ukrainian citizens, as a part to punish the Ukrainian citizens, he decides that he's going to organize like a man-made famine to punish the Ukraine for their dissent against his 5-year plan. And in case you were wondering, you guys, 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. So really calling this like a Holocaust that they forgot is actually a pretty accurate representation, at least according to the numbers of people who were targeted during this genocide, because that's what this is. It's a genocide. It's targeting specific people and killing them. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at one more. And that is the last one, number 6. All right. This excerpt, the French ambassador to the Soviet Union, so that's the speaker, described the public trials that were a part of the Great Purge of Stalin. I personally attended the second and third Moscow trials, those of 1937 and 1938. Pyatokov, another defendant, arose, confessed to a number of crimes. Did these confessions, so there's a tonal word, right, having it in air brackets, he's like, confessions, so fake, carry and share the truth? It is possible that the accused were hostile to Stalin's regime, but the lessons they recited must have been forced from them. So the reason why they're fake, you guys, is because these confessions are forced. It is more likely that the GUP, the secret police, touched each of their weak points. So this could be like threatening their families. Like, if you don't confess, we're attacking your family next. It is also probable that the accused gave in to some form of pressure. Some would give in to save their families, others in the hope of saving their own lives, right? So the Great Purge, as described over here, were these waves of persecution that Stalin would do to attack people he felt were threats to his plans, okay? So like we can see right here, though, as we learn, these show trials is really what they were. Show trials were fake. Many of the people who were confessing because they had been tortured or because their own families were being threatened. So, although they were against Stalin, their confessions their confessions were most likely false. The secret police was forcing them to say these things so that they could protect their families. Okay, so go ahead and pause if you would like to copy what I wrote, but I'm going to go ahead and move on right now. Of course, I would like you to also do the other 3 documents just on your own, but I think the other documents shouldn't feel confusing at all either. The next step that I would like you to do is for you to fill out these boxes right here. Now you can type these up if you would like. I'm fine. I'm just writing it by hand so that you can see. Find 3 specific examples from the document that support the original intentions of Stalin's 5-year plan. The opposition to the rise of Stalin, including why some may have been opposed to his rule and what happened to his opposition. Make sure you explain the connections. So as you can see, I tried to make it really clear. So the first CD should be the purpose of Stalin's 5-year plan. The second CD should be an example of his opposition. And then lastly, the third CD should be what happened to this opposition. Okay, so for example, we just read document 6. So I'm just going to write document 6 as a reminder for myself. And I'm going to use a CD from here. Now there's a lot that I could use, and you can obviously use different ones, but I'm going to do this. It's also probable that the accused gave in to some form of pressure, ... Some would give in to save their families, others in hopes of saving their own lives. Okay? Sorry, I'm getting messier as this video is going on. And then I'm going to answer, why does this matter, right? And you can answer this in bullet points. So for example, I'm going to write false confessions show the power that Stalin has to silence opposition, as well as the fact that I'm going to write they fear their lives and the lives of their family, which shows that like Stalin uses death. Against his opposition. Okay, so those are just some bullet points. When you're done with this, the real meat of this assignment, and then again, this will be content points is for you to try and write a little DBQ based on this. So using the documents, explain some of the lasting consequences, both positive and negative. So I've tried to help you guys out by giving it a structure on the side. So topic sentence should have both positive and negative consequences. CD1 should be a positive consequence, moving on to your commentary, transition. CD2 should be a negative consequence and moving on forward, so on and so forth, okay? This is your first go at it. I believe in you. If you have any more questions, I'm giving you guys a week to turn this in. Obviously, you know that more things will be due, but the reason why I'm giving you a week is that if you're really struggling, come see me next week during my office hours and we can work on this together in more detail. But again, I hope it kind of helps that I walked some of it through with you. And I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you later. Thank you for watching.